Hey guys, Joe here, coming at you with another late night session. Um, I was actually in part of I want to say, in part of a a group, in Facebook. I am, and and I asked this question. I asked this question to them, and I want to see if you guys can answer it. Do you think all the sufferings of what you went through was necessary to get to where you're meant to be? Whether you're there already or where if you're or if you're going to be there in the future, in which case that means you're probably suffering now, at least a little bit or on some level. And let me clarify, because there was some point of discussion about, okay, well, what do I mean when I say meant to be? I mean that in any way you want to take it, you know. Some people took it to mean that I meant about destiny and fate and all this other stuff, and then some people take it to mean that it's kind of the path you chose, and so and that's something that I had to. Well, most people thought I meant fate and destiny and all that other stuff, which can apply, if you're thinking that way, but and sometimes it's just like, you chose this option in life, and this is what I had to kind of explain. Like, sometimes, colloquially speaking, you say people are meant to be stuff. It's like when you look at Kobe, it's like, he was meant to be a basketball player, or Michael Jordan, or Bruce Lee. He was meant to be a fighter. He was good at that. He had a natural talent. It's like almost like he was meant to be that. And people say that all the time, whether they believe in destiny or fate or not. But people use that all the time, colloquially speaking. So it's not like it's lost, to say, are you meant to be? It's like, okay, whether you're talking about life in general, whether you're talking about the future, but it brings up an interesting point, because I think about that movie, The Butterfly Effect, the one with Ashton Kutcher, and there's something very philosophical about that, to where it's like, one small decision in your life could drastically change the outcome of how the rest of your life is playing out. And that's why I say meant to be, because it's like, sometimes you weren't meant to go this way, but it still happens, Like, was it meant to be that, like, that somebody ends up in jail? Hey guys, sorry about that. The camera had cut out. Um, it was overheating, but basically, what I was talking about was how sometimes people are meant to be stuff, and it's not strange to say. It's not strange to say that oh, it's raining. Uh, it's not strange to say that some people are meant to be stuff. If you can say, logically speaking, that people aren't meant to do stuff, then how can we say that they're meant to do something else? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not meant to do bad stuff, let's say, murder, kill, steal, well, murder and killing. I'm saying that in the same vein, even though it's not, legally speaking, necessarily the same thing. Because I guess you can kill somebody legally. I mean, like, look at the military. I mean, they kill people in other countries, but that's not a political thing. That's just saying what happens. Okay. But Anyway, if you can clearly define what a wrong is, then by definition you have to also say okay, everything that's right is not wrong. You know? Like you know what I mean? Like something that's objectively wrong. Like I said, you know that there's atrocities in this world that's like is wrong. Like murder is outright wrong. And yet nobody can has the words to articulate why it's wrong. It's like, well, because it just is. It's like really? Like, you have to define why you say that. Like, where did you get that from? Like, because your parents told, it's funny because it's like, we live in an age to where it's like, yo, if you look at the arguments for everything controversial, everything that divides people, it's like the same logic that they'll use to defend one controversial topic and one point of that controversial topic is the same thing that they'll use to defend another controversial topic and another controversial point. Take for example atheists and Christians, right? So it is my understanding that atheists will kind of be like, okay, well, where did you get this from? Where did you get this from? Well, a Bible was written by a man or old dudes or whatever. And then it's like, well, they're saying, well, it's the inspired word of God, right? But then I never hear anybody say, well, if you're going solely based off of that, then why wouldn't they say, okay, if you're basing off of its invalidation being by a man or a human being or whatever, then why couldn't you logically say the same thing about science books? And it's like they don't seem to have a problem with that. Listen, I'm not trying to argue about this stuff. I'm just saying that the point of contention is this was written by somebody and this was written by somebody. How come you couldn't take those things and be like, like you can't defend it in this point and then attack it on this point? Like you can't do that. Like you can't do that logically speaking. It's like, if your point of contention is that it was written by somebody, it's like, well, then they could say the same thing about yours. So that's why, like, why did I bring that up? It's because it's the idea of when we're talking about somebody that's meant to be something, and you already have these justifications in your heads of why somebody is not meant to be something. And you can't tell you who told you that, and you have no justification for why somebody's not meant to be that, whether it's moral, ethical, or otherwise. You can't justify that by other than saying, okay, well, this has real consequences or legal consequences or something like that. But you can't say that you weren't meant to follow that path, that's not an objectively good path to follow. Like, where are you getting that? Because if legalness was taken out of it, would it then be right? Like, if there was no legal consequences to anything, would it be right? I don't think you could say that. Why? Because there's something in you. There has to be something, right, that you're grabbing a hold of that says, okay, this is clearly right and wrong. And what is that thing? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because nothing is definite anymore. Nothing is definite. We just say stuff with a high degree of accuracy. Does that make any sense? People make generalizations based off of statistics that they think they heard, or experiences that they think they've seen, or that they might have seen. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, if your pool of people that you know is this, you kind of get a vibe during that time without understanding the deep statistical meaning of why. Not to say that, that statistics couldn't be faked, or, that they couldn't. To me, I think it's ridiculous that when people point out statistics, it's like, oh, well, there's no statistics behind that. It's like, listen, no, that's not what it is. It's like, oh, well, we can't respect, what's the word? We can't expect, kind of stories, or, I can't think of the word. I'll probably put it down in the thing. But, we can't, anecdotal evidence. We can't use that. It's like, that's all statistics are. Statistics are essentially anecdotal evidence, just collected and stripped down to their bare parts. That's all that it is at the end of the day. You tell somebody a story, right? And you say, well, this happened in this case, and this happened in this case. I knew a friend who once knew a friend who did something, and this was the outcome. If you collect enough of those stories and you tally up what happened to them, and this happened, and this happened, it's like, and you strip down its bare parts and take out the excess parts, you have your data, So being meant to be something is not, you go through stuff. You pick a path in life, and there's natural challenges to picking a path, whether it's your personality type, or it's the way, which encompasses the way that you think, or it's, or it's money, or physical, or, like resource wise. It doesn't matter. Whatever path you pick in life has its own set of obstacles, and whether or not you believe in fate or destiny or whatever, you have to go through those obstacles in order to get better, in order to come out on the other side. It doesn't matter, right? And that's kind of what I was trying to get at. It doesn't necessarily, because the practicalness of the concept of you going through a suffering to get to the other side, and by suffering in this case, I mean doing something that you don't want to do, that brings upon stress to you at that time in some way, shape, or form, in order for you to get better, in order for you to become that thing, right? Some lessons you learn, it's like some lessons you learn the hard way, or some level of knowledge you learn the easy way. But some things are harder than others. Some challenge. I gave the example of this. Like, listen, I never liked school. I found it hard to study, but that's a challenge that, you had to get through in order for me to graduate. That's that suffering, that moment of stress, of I guess, necessary pain or necessary anguish or necessary negative thing, whatever that word is, was necessary in order to growing pains is maybe more a more analogous term to what I'm talking about, is necessary in order for you to get to the other side. That's all I'm saying. So, what do you guys think about that? Let me know. Drop your comments down below. Hit the like button if you like what I'm talking about. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on everything it is that we're talking about. I really appreciate you guys for watching and listening, and I will see you guys later.